Some lawmakers are calling on the South Carolina House and Senate to rewrite a law that has dramatically inflated liquor liability insurance across the Palmetto State. Here is one representative, his business partner, and a South Carolina venue crisis advocate addressing the issue earlier this month.
Hello, and thank you for coming today. I'm Jay Kilmartin, and I'm coming to you today as both a small business owner and a South Carolina House rep. I represent District 85 here in Columbia, Irmo, and Chapin. I promised I would bring my small business experience to the State House and call out anti-business legislation and overreach by the state of South Carolina. There's a critical issue which is putting tremendous strain on small mom and pop establishments who have a license issued by the state to serve adult beverages. My intent here is to shed some light on this issue. I just turned in my beer and wine license for our small cigar store called the Cigar Militia. My business partner is here as well, and he's going to speak further on the issue. I turned this in because we can no longer afford the liquor liability section of our property and liability insurance. And to avoid bad press regarding losing our license, we are choosing to turn it in. In 2017, the lawyer legislators in the State House passed S116, which was a sloppily written law that favors lawyers. The fallout from this bill, which allows joint and several liability judgments against innocent businesses, has been catastrophic. Insurance carriers have outright left our state, leaving no competition and the biggest hardship of insurance premiums being unaffordable to most venues. My liability insurance went from $1,500 a year to $28,000 in a few months. We currently have sales of less than half the insurance premium. I'm calling on my fellow representatives in the South Carolina House and senators to make this a top priority when we return to session in just over a month, in January. I'm also calling on all small businesses to contact their representatives in the House and Senate to make it known this needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Thank you all, and I have a few others that would love to speak on this issue. We have Sheila Merck here from SC Venue Crisis. They've been gathering people from around the state and trying to educate them on this. And we have Alex Zelling, the owner of Palmetto Payroll, who's my partner in the cigar store. So I'd like to introduce, who's first?
Again, Jay introduced me. I'm Alex Zelling. I'm one of the owners of the Cigar Militia, but I'm also the owner of Palmetto Payroll Solutions. We're a local payroll processing firm here in Columbia. And one of my big fears is how this venue crisis is going to affect that client base also. I mean, I can't tell you how many small businesses and restaurants that we process for that serve alcohol. I mean, breakfast venues where you can, on a Sunday morning, you can have a mimosa with your breakfast. Well, that poor gentleman that serves you that mimosa, if somebody leaves that venue and goes to a bar that night or goes watch the football game, drinks too much, he's in that liability now. And all he did was serve you a mimosa with breakfast at 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I don't understand how that gentleman could be, or that gentleman or lady could be responsible. I mean, if we were to serve somebody at the Cigar Militia, am I supposed to drive around and follow this person around all day long because now I'm liable for what he does at another establishment? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So like I said, I'm really just worried about how the repercussions of this are going to affect the small businesses going forward. And also, you know, we're a tourist destination, South Carolina. One of our largest revenue sources in the state. I'm sitting here behind the Department of Revenue is tourism, right? So how's this going to affect tourism? If you're down in Charleston, you small venue like that, and people want to come and have a beer or something like that, how are they going to be able to serve that? Like Jay said, we went from $1,500 to $28,000, and that was the best quote. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's time for South Carolina to start looking at personal responsibility and stop shoving responsibility onto everybody else. That's just my opinion. I think it's going to hurt business all over. Thank you for your time.
What we're calling the South Carolina venue crisis really is a liability lawsuit issue. It's more than something that's affecting bars, music venues, which is the community that we support, it's affecting restaurants, and it's affecting people's lives and their livelihoods. Whether it's someone who just is a music fan, or someone who works in a restaurant or bar, or if it's someone who, honestly, like with the Cigar Militia, this is a company that makes very little money in the grand scheme of things off of liquor, beer, or wine. However, they are being asked to pay exorbitant amounts of money for something that really last year, the year before that, was a drop in the bucket. Our legislators really need to come together on this issue, and we as South Carolinians need to come together and help them understand that we just can't take this anymore. It's not fair. It's not something that should be done, can be done, or really will be done. So we need to come together as South Carolina citizens and help our legislators understand what we want, what we need, and who they work for. There are two bills that have been presented. One is the SC Justice Act, that is 533, and there's also the South Carolina Save Our Venues Act, that would be 4529. The South Carolina Justice Act really focuses on splitting out the responsibility. As someone else had mentioned, if someone has a drink earlier in the day and then goes to two other places, each venue, establishment, bar, restaurant that serves alcohol could equally be found liable. That bill would separate the responsibility, saying that the first establishment had less responsibility than the last venue or restaurant if there was an accident. So they would be less liable. The South Carolina Save Our Venues Act focuses more on personal responsibility, and it is written similarly to a bill that was recently passed in Alabama. That focuses on personal responsibility, saying that no one is forcing anyone to have a drink. We don't have a hard number on the number of establishments that have been affected by this, because a lot of them, they're not speaking up, or some of them have reached out to us and said that they're embarrassed by the fact that they can't afford their liability insurance anymore, or that they simply don't know what's causing the issue. We're trying to get the word out, but unfortunately we don't have a hard number on that. The more people who are aware of this situation, the more we can connect them to insurance agencies who can get them better rates. And honestly, the rates depend on the type of business. It depends on the sales. If it's a bar or a music venue, like even having a pool table or having security or charging a cover, these are all things that make the insurance rate go up. So, it really comes down to people paying attention, and we need legislative change desperately in South Carolina. Venue operators, restaurant owners, people of South Carolina need to contact their legislators. It is vital that they contact their legislators. Sitting back and waiting for someone else to do something doesn't get things done. We need to step up, we need to speak up, we have to stand up for our rights, and we have to stand up for each other and make sure that everybody knows what's happening in South Carolina. South Carolina is on the bottom of the list for so many things for a reason. We've got to come together, we've got to make things happen, otherwise it won't. By the way, we're having a rally at the State House on January 9th. Everyone is invited. Details are coming soon. Follow scvenuecrisis.org. That's our website. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We need all of the restaurants, venues, bars. We need everybody to come together. And please understand that it's not just restaurants, bars, and venues. South Carolina Trucking Association, we need your people. The Home Builders Association, we need your people. South Carolina Hospital Association, we need your people, because the liability laws affect everybody. And if we can take care of it from the top level, everything else trickles down. We've got to do something.